Hi, welcome back to WTF Rc Cars. So we got a quick request video today. How to set up the brake and the throttle on the Hobao Nitros. So basically what you're looking for, when you're centering your servo, you want this little spring, so you're aiming for this spring here to be ever so slightly compressed. And then you know that that's pushing the throttle all the way in, and you can see down there, if let's see if we can get it in light, and you can see how far closed the throttle needs to be. Probably be easier with velocity stack out. Let's see if I can remove that. So when you're first setting it up, you're initially looking for the tiny little gap towards the set screw for the mixture. So your standard setting is to set that for 1 millimeter, but you might have to close it down as you get your car set up and running. The adjustment for that is the tiny little screw right there. So you want that gap set, so you can just see right at this side, tiny little gap. And don't forget to put your velocity stack back in. That restricts the airflow to make this carb work with this sized engine. So this pushed all the way back in. Center your servo so it's ever so slightly compressing this, then you know that it's all the way closed. Then to set it for full throttle, you need to adjust your servo endpoint, and if you watch just as it gets the carb all the way out, it just starts to compress the tiny little bit of fuel line. So your maximum endpoint needs to be set so it just compresses this, and then you're not putting too much force on your servo, and this will be as far out as it goes. So if you watch it, when it gets right to the end, it just compresses it a tiny little bit. Now what you can do while it's all the way out, if you just try and push on that slightly, once this is in that position, you then shouldn't be able to push that any further out at all. And the easiest way to tell is if it starts to compress this little bit of fuel line. Now, setting the brakes up, it's going to be pretty difficult to try and get an angle at it. But when the servo is in its resting position, so you're not touching the throttle or brake, these want to be slightly loose. There wants to be no tension on them whatsoever. If they are being pulled, let's see if I can get a better angle for you. So you can see these are completely free when that's at its set position in the middle. So we're at closed throttle and the brakes aren't being actuated. You don't want these to be binding at all, because as you start accelerating, if your brake's still binding, you're going to burn your clutch out. So when the engines are idle, just at normal tick over, the servo's in its resting position, so you're not touching throttle or brake. These want to be quite free. And there's one at top and one at bottom to actuate front and rear brake. Now, as you start applying the brake, they'll start to pull. You want your end point just, the easiest way to tell on the Hobaos, you'll just see it starts pulling the radio tray. So if you watch down here, watch for the gap between the brake housing and the radio tray, and you'll see it just right at the end of the motion, it just starts to close the gap, so it's pulling on the radio tray. You don't want that pulling in too much, because you're going to overload your servo and you're basically pulling the car in half or trying to snap something. So again, pull your brake on and then back your end point down and keep trying it so it's pulling both brakes. Now You can use these collars on the end and you can tighten them up. You can slide them in slightly, and if you slide one in more than the other, you will cause front to back brake bias. So you can make it by moving the bottom one slightly in. You'll make the front bind first. By moving this top one slightly in, you'll make the rear one bind first. And basically that's all you need to do. So the throttle, you want at resting point, you want it just pushing on that spring, and that'll make sure the throttle's all the way closed. Also, when you pull the brake all the way on, you don't want that spring to become completely compressed, because that means when you're braking full, you're trying to force this arm and you're trying to shove the carb further shut than what it is at closed position. Ultimately, you're just going to wear the stop screw and the carb slider and possibly even break this connector there. So you want to back this one off, so at full brake it's compressing the spring but not fully compressed, so it's not putting too much tension on either the servo or the carb itself. So basically that's what it should look like. Full throttle, it's all the way extended from the carb, so you know you're getting full throttle, and if you look down into the carb you can see it's fully open. Resting position, slight bit of tension on this spring, you want those loose so your brakes aren't binding as you try and pull away. And then when you full brake, you want your brakes to be on sufficient enough to stop the car, and you want that spring not to be compressed all the way. So hopefully that helps. Thanks again for watching WTF Rc Cars, and we'll see you again next time.